All right, so in 1973, the A's won their second consecutive World Series title over the New York Mets this time, and their second World Series in Oakland during this really good era of A's baseball. The A's played the New York Mets, who many can remember from back then in 1973. They weren't the best team. They had a .509 winning percentage during the regular season, which to this day is the lowest winning percentage of any pennant winner in Major League history. The World Series MVP of this World Series was Reggie Jackson, who was a really electrifying hitter, and I think, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best, World Series performers of all time. He, obviously didn't play in the '72 World Series, but he was amazing in this World Series, and the Mets were, definitely a scrappy team. They battled injuries all season during 1973, and they had some really good players, but they also had, a lot of adversity to face. And they were a good team, but, definitely making the A's work hard. In this series, just like 1972, was a 7-game series. The A's won, and a close series, a couple games that went to extra innings, and, definitely a good one for the ages. Definitely a good pitching performances by both teams. I mean, the Mets had Tom Seaver, the A's had Raleigh Fingers, Catfish Hunter, and they had a lot of good pitching. Ken Holtzman. So, yeah, let's get into Game 1. The A's won by a final score of 2-1 over the Mets in Game 1. Ken Holtzman was the winning pitcher. He actually pitched Game 1 in 1972, and he also pitched Game 1 in 1973. And the A's got the 2-1 victory, despite only having 4 hits opposed to the Mets' 7. In this game, the A's had 2 runs in the third inning, and the Mets had 1 run in the fourth, and that's all the runs that came out of this game. It was kind of a stagnant performance in the 5th through 9th innings. But, overall, a pretty good game. The A's actually had some pretty good hits. Bert Campaneris contributed. Joe Rudi had a nice sacrifice hit, and that scored in the run, and that's pretty much all they needed. The A's were just a really good team at shutting teams down at the end of the games. Similar to 1972, there were a couple games where there'd be no runs from the Mets, and that's kind of what propelled them to victory. So, yeah. Game 2 was a pretty good game. The Mets did get the victory in 12 innings in Oakland, 10-7 final score. A lot of hits in this game, 28 combined between both teams, 15 for the Mets, 13 for Oakland. Raleigh Fingers was the losing pitcher. Tug McGraw, as we all know, is a great pitcher. He was the winning pitcher for the Mets, and George Stone got the save. For the Mets in this game, they had a pretty good game from Willie Mays, who was aging at this point, and he was actually a pinch runner, but he got an RBI hit. Wayne Garrett and also Cleon Jones had 3 hits in this game. John Milner had 2 hits. They did pretty good in this game. Bud Harrison got 3 hits for the Mets. So they had a lot of players get multiple hit games. And Raleigh Fingers kind of struggled in this game, despite being a really good pitcher overall. Bert Campaneris had a hit in this game. He also scored 2 runs. I mean, it was a very close game. Reggie Jackson, who obviously went on to win MVP, he had 4 hits in this game, 2 RBIs. I mean, that's crazy. 4 hits in a World Series game. That's almost unheard of now. Joe Rudi got a double in this game, a triple for Sal Bando. And, Reggie Jackson did really good in this game as well. Some 2-out RBIs from him. And Gene Tennis, who was the World Series MVP in '72, also contributed in the victory. For the A's, Vida Blue was the starting pitcher, actually. And he actually did okay, but Raleigh Fingers was kind of the one that struggled the most. He earned, a couple of runs, and, the Mets won. That's just how it went. It was just kind of a struggling game from the A's bullpen. Now, in Game 3, this game also went into extra innings, and this one was at Shea Stadium in New York, but the A's got the 3-2 victory in 11 innings. Basically, this game was interesting because it started out with a pretty dominant Mets performance. They had 2 quick runs in the first inning. However, the A's would go on to tie it with a run in the 6th and a run in the 8th. And also, they got the game-winning run in the 11th inning, making it 3-2. Each team had 10 hits. Yeah, in this game, though, Reggie Jackson, unfortunately didn't really get any hits, despite, he had actually had 3 strikeouts. And, that it would be a surprise to many. Sal Bando got 2 hits, 2 hits for Joe Rudi, 3 hits for Bert Campaneris, a lot of guys contributed to this victory. Sal Bando, got a, you're facing Tom Seaver in this game, who's obviously a Hall of Fame pitcher, really good pitcher for the Mets back then. He gave up some hits to Joe Rudi and Sal Bando, and etc. Gene Tennis got an RBI in this game. So did Joe Rudi and Bert Campaneris. And yeah, the starting pitcher for the A's was Catfish Hunter, who he did pretty good, actually. I mean, he allowed 7 hits, but he also only allowed 2 runs. So that's, my book's pretty good. Tom Seaver went 8 innings in this game before Tug McGraw eventually came in, and some other pitchers. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It was a kind of a low-scoring game because it was good pitching. In Game 4, the Mets tied the series up with a 6-1 victory at home over the Athletics. And in this game, the losing pitcher was Ken Holtzman, who obviously had pitched previously, and John Matlack got the win for the Mets. Bert Campaneris got on base. He was good at getting on base. That was just like a main thing for Campy. He was good at getting on base. Like, he might get no hits in a game, but he was good at that. You know, getting on base and contributing. Joe Rudi got a hit. Reggie Jackson got a hit in this game. But the A's kind of weren't super good at hitting in this game. I mean, the Mets had 13 hits and 5 for the A's only. In terms of pitching, Ken Holtzman, you know, only pitched 0.1 innings, and he allowed a lot of hits. Blue Moon Odom came in for relief later, kind of tranquilized it, but, you know, the A's just kind of allowed, he faced 2 batters, but, you know, it's just the A's pitching kind of got lit up in this game, and the Mets only had to use 2 pitchers, and a really good pitching performance from John Matlack, who only allowed 1 run. It was not even an earned run. So, yeah, really good performance from him. The Mets took a 3-2 series lead in the next game, in Game 5, with a 2-0 victory over the A's. Tug McGraw got the save, Jerry Koosman got the win, and Vida Blue got the loss. So the A's at this point, you know, they have a hole to climb out of, right? They're down 3-2 in the series after this, and we all know they would come back, but definitely a big hole to be in. Reggie Jackson in this game didn't get any hits, unfortunately. Sal Bando got a hit. Bert Campaneris did. Ray Fosse, rest in peace, he got a hit. Really good catcher for the A's back then. But, you know, the A's just couldn't really overcome the good pitching from New York. They didn't even score a single run, and New York scored a run in the 2nd and the 6th inning to get the victory. And Vida Blue, you know, he actually didn't do super badly, but, you know, it's just, it's in these types of series where it's a lot of games are decided by 1 or a couple runs, you know, giving up 6 hits is a lot. Raleigh Fingers came in for relief, but the A's didn't get the win. 2-0 final. But the A's would win Game 6 at home with a 3-1 victory over the Mets in a pretty good game. Tom Seaver with the loss. I mean, you know, if you were a fan back then, you probably thought it was a foregone conclusion that the Mets would win this. I mean, they're up in the series. They have Tom Seaver coming in to pitch this final game. But the A's had Catfish Hunter, who was 3-0, and after this, Raleigh Fingers got the save in a 3-1 victory for the A's. Pretty close game. I mean, 7-6 in terms of hitting. For the amount of hits. A's struck first with a run in the 2nd, or a run in the 1st, a run in the 3rd, and a run in the 8th. The Mets got a run in the 8th as well to match that one against the A's, but, you know, nothing much from them as well. The A's had a really good game from Reggie Jackson. He got RBIs on 2 of the 3 runs, and really good one for them. Jesus Alou, who was actually a pinch hitter, got an RBI for the A's as well. So it was really clutch. And the A's won Game 6, 3-1. Now, on Game 7, the A's clinched their 2nd consecutive World Series with a 5-2 victory over the Mets at home in Oakland. Ken Holtzman, who was a really good pitcher, as we all can tell, he pitched this game. He got the winning pitching game for them. And the A's got 4 runs in the 3rd inning. They got a run in the 5th, and they were up to a 5-0 lead on the Mets, which is, you know, kind of crazy. But the Mets did fight back a little bit. They got a run in the 6th inning and a run in the 9th, but that was all they got. The A's clinched the World Series in a really good game. I mean, I think Reggie Jackson definitely deserves MVP after this. I mean, he was MVP, and that was because he got 2 RBIs on just 1 hit, which was a really good game, and he got a home run. And Bert Campaneris also got a home run. And yeah, it was just a really good hitting game for the A's, what they needed, right? Because they weren't hitting super well in some previous games. And yeah, so anyways, that's 1973. We'll move on to 1974 next. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys later, and go A's.